Hi, you are welcome back to Significant Woman. My name is Edith, and if this is your first time to be on this channel, thank you so much for coming. And I want to encourage you, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, like this video, but also you can share with your sisters, with your siblings, with your friends who are ladies, because this platform is dedicated to only women. Okay, even men are welcome, but it is a platform for women, and we are here so that we can help one another to discover, unleash, and live according to our full potential so that we can fulfill our purposes in life. So today we are going to talk about some of the challenges, some of the problems that we face in life and how to deal with them. I wish I could tell you that life is going to be a bed of roses, but it can never. We go through challenges, we go through problems, and sometimes we don't even know how to deal with them. And if we don't deal with them, they affect the quality of our life. And you have seen so many people who have gone through challenges, who have gone through disappointments and heartaches, and because they don't know how to deal with them, they have resorted to destructive behavior. Some people have resorted to drugs, people have gone to alcohol, and some people unfortunately have ended up killing themselves. But I want to tell you that there is always a better way out, and those are the things that we are going to talk about today. And if we want to deal with problems in our lives, we need to know those kinds of problems that we actually face, because how do you deal with something that you don't even know or that you cannot easily describe? So there are three kinds of problems that we actually face, if we can categorize them. Number one, these are problems that are in our control directly. There are also problems that are in our control but indirectly. And then there are also problems that are not in our control. We literally cannot do anything about them. So let's talk about the direct control problems. These are problems that happen to you because you have something to do with them. They are involved with your behavior. Now, sometimes we don't want to accept this or acknowledge this, but some of the things that we face in life, we actually bring them to ourselves. Today I was reading a story, an amazing story. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is King David. So he is a famous king. He has gone to battle. He has killed Goliath. He has done a lot of exploits in his life. And for this specific war, for him as a king, he was supposed to go with the army. But this time, he chooses not to go. And he's dilly-dallying on top of the roof. And he looks at this very beautiful woman, Bathsheba, and he ends up sleeping with her. She's a married woman. He sleeps with her and impregnates and makes her pregnant. And in order for him to cover up his sin, he tries to do a lot of things, and when they did not work, he ends up killing the husband of this woman. And then he marries the lady, they give birth to a child, and somehow David continues with his life as though nothing happens. But God cannot be mocked. God cannot be lied to. He's always watching our lives. Every detail of our lives he knows. So he sends a prophet Nathan, and he goes to David and tells him, well, you committed sin against God, and these are things that are going to happen to you, including the death of that child that they had given birth to. For me, that story shows me that there are things that I'm going to bring in my life because of my character, because of my behavior. And that happens to all of us. So as you go through challenges in life, as you go through experiences in life, you need to identify, what kind of problem am I going through? Is this because of something that I've done? Is it because of my character? Is it because of my behavior? Is it because of my the way I respond to things? And then that helps you to know how to deal with it. And then the second thing that we always face is indirect control problems. These are problems that involve the character of other people. That has nothing to do with you. It's because of the other person. And I think we face this so many times. You have a friend who will hurt you. You have a spouse who will hurt you. You have siblings, and it's because of their character that they haven't dealt with that they end up spilling on you, and you're being hurt. and sometimes with their knowledge or without their knowledge. So these are problems that we go through because of another person's behavior. And I will also still like to go back to the Bible. I love the Bible because I can relate with it, and it is transformative. It has changed my life. So most of the stories that I'm going to be sharing with you today are from the Bible. So the other story that I want to share of someone who was really affected, who was hurt, who went through a lot of challenging circumstances because of other people's behavior. So Joseph is the favorite child of his father Jacob, and his brothers are aware of it. They become envious and very jealous of him, and so they come up with a plan of how to get rid of him. They wanted to kill him, but somehow they agree that we are going to sell him into slavery. So Jacob, at a very young age, as a young boy, is sold into slavery, and he goes into a foreign land, and somehow he finds this family that he starts working for, but the wife also becomes another problem, and he wants to sleep with Joseph. Joseph refuses, and the lady says, well, this boy wanted to rape me, and he's thrown into prison. For over 13 years, Joseph is in a foreign land. Imagine, you're sold into a foreign land, you have no family, and then you end up in prison, and for the most of your life, you're in this prison in a foreign land. And so Joseph did not go through these things because he had anything to do with them. He goes through these problems because of his brothers jealous, and then also the lust of this woman, Potiphar's wife. So there are those things that we go through, challenges that we go through in our lives, and we have nothing to do with them. It's because of people. They haven't dealt with their character, they haven't dealt with their envy, they are jealous of you. I believe that you have seen most of those things happen to you, where your friend is so jealous of you and you had no idea, and then they do something that you least expected at that point of your life, and it leaves you very hurt. It leaves you very discouraged and disappointed in life. And some people, it is even deadly. Some have gone to hospital. For some, even someone can even plot to kill you, just like Joseph's brother, when you don't even know. Unfortunately, some people have lost their lives. Some people have been bewitched. We have heard of all those stories, and it's because of someone's character. So for those things, they are going to happen to us, but also we need to learn how to deal with them. And then the other problems that happen to us, the third kind of problems that happen to us, are those problems that we have no control over. Think about your past. Can you go back to your past like 10 years ago and you change anything there? There is nothing you can do about it. But there are also situations and circumstances that happen to us, and we literally have nothing to do about them. Even if you kill yourself, even if you take alcohol, the only thing that you can do is think about them, and then there is nothing you can do about them. Let me give an example of death. When you lose a loved one, a child, a husband, a father, it has happened. Whether you would cry your whole life, you cannot bring them back to life. So what do? You have to learn how to deal with it. I can give another example. My favorite lady in the Bible, Ruth. Ruth is a Moabite. She gets in touch with this family, she marries into it, but then she goes through death one after another. She loses the father-in-law, she loses the brother-in-law, she loses her husband, and then she ends up with the mother-in-law who is depressed, who is sad and crying over her life and the losses that she has experienced in life. But we do not see Ruth also turning into maybe alcohol or even leaving the mother-in-law when Naomi encouraged her to go, just like her sister-in-law Orpah, but she had to know how to deal with it. So these are the three kinds of problems that we face. There are so many, but if we try to categorize the things that we go through, we can talk about those things. So how do you deal with these challenges that you go through? Let me talk about the problems that we go through and we bring them on ourselves, those that have something to do with our behavior. If you're going to deal with those, my dear sisters, you have to work on your habits. You have to work on yourself. And this I have been emphasizing. If you haven't watched my previous videos, you need to go back because they keep on building on one another. We have been talking about working on ourselves, working on our character. And so if you know that something has happened because of your habits, because of your character, you need to work on them. There is a saying that it is only a mad person who keeps on doing the same thing over and over again and they expect different results. So if you're into business and you realize that maybe because of how you treat your clients, you're not committed, you're not loyal, you don't fulfill your promises, you don't meet deadlines, and people are leaving you, clients are leaving you. If that is happening and you're facing the consequences to that, then you have to change your character so that you become loyal, you have integrity, that you work on your habits so that they can attract people to your business. And I want to go back to David. When David was told that this is wrong, when the prophet Nathan told him that what you did was wrong, he had to do something about it. Sometimes when we go through challenges in our lives, I know that moment when you're really discouraged and you're disappointed, you want to fix blame on every other person but yourself. But my dear sisters, if we are going to be helped, or if you're going to help one another or ourselves, we need to take responsibility. And I've also talked about it in my previous videos. You cannot blame the world, you cannot blame your boss, you cannot blame your spouse, your parents, your siblings for things that you have brought on yourself. So anything that happens to you, before you start blaming and crying and complaining and looking for a solution, you need to know, did I have anything to do with this thing that has happened to me? Did I do anything to contribute to it happening to me? And when you realize that, then you need to find out exactly what habits or what habits you need to work on. What did you do and how can you change? And when you do that, then it's going to be different for you. You will not see so many things like those happening to you. One of the things that has caused a lot of ladies' problems or disappointments in life is relationships. And I think for the many stories that I've had, we always hear one side of the story of this person did this to me, they did this to me, they treated me like this. But have you ever actually paused and you thought about yourself to see if there is something that you did to contribute to the breakup or to contribute to the way the person treated you? Maybe the way you used to respond or your character. Many times when you think about, even if it's marriage, for marriage it's a different story. If we are to talk about most of the challenges actually that we face, you realize that there is something that we did to contribute to their happening. So my dear sisters, I will encourage you that before you blame that ex-boyfriend of yours and you call him all sorts of names, reflect about yourself. You reflect about the relationship, your relationship, and the things that you used to do, the things that you used to complain about. If you're married, think about those things that your husband always talks about, and you realize that actually there is something for you that you need to work on. And if you're not yet married, maybe in the next relationship it's going to be a different story for you, because if you reflect and try to work on those habits that were not right in the previous relationship, then in the next one you're not going to carry them forward. You're going to be a better person, and maybe this relationship might end in praise. So the other thing that we talked about is those things that happen to us because we had nothing to do with them. So how do you react with those ones? The world has told us that you cut these people off, you ghost them, have nothing to do with them. And most of us are always, we are welcoming those ideas, and that's how we are treating people lately. I always see memes on social media, especially on WhatsApp, where they tell you, if you saw me cut you off, it's because you handed me the scissors. If someone doesn't treat you as the first priority, you also don't. You hear all those sorts of things. And my sisters, I want to tell you to be very careful, because those things are going to actually make you a bad person, if I can say it bluntly. They are going to affect the way you treat other people, and it will be to your disadvantage, because the world has taught us that when people are not treating you well, and people, because of the things that they've gone through, experiences, their character, their works in progress, the way they treat you, we either run away, or we fight, or we ghost them. We have nothing to do with them. But we are also works in progress. There are things that are not right about us. And some of those things are actually worse than how the other person is treating you. But for you, you feel like, she's doing this thing, so I'm going to cut her off. She did this and the other. But there are also things that you have done to other people. So we need to treat each other with grace. And how to deal with people's behaviors that actually hurt you is not for you to run away. It's not for you to ghost them or cut them off. It's for you to change the method of your influence. The way you react or treat them should be the one to change. Their character is their responsibility. The way you respond is also your responsibility. I want to give an example for some of us who are already working. You're at work and you find this very bad boss. I want to say bad. They are arrogant. They are everything that you want to think about. And most of the times what we do is we tend to go into corridor talks. You complain, you talk about this person, you tell other people how they treat you wrongly. Unfortunately, we don't always come up with solutions to these problems. I want to tell you something that you can do actually to deal with that. Instead of you gossiping and complaining 24/7 from morning to evening, how about you change the way you look at your boss? Because he might have his own weaknesses, but have you ever tried to think about their actual need and their actual concern? Why do they act like this? And have you also tried to focus on their strengths, that you're going to work with them focusing on their strengths rather than their weaknesses? And sometimes when you actually try to understand why they act the way they act, you realize that these are the things that you can work on. Maybe this person just doesn't like people who are always giving stories but not working. They want you to go to them and present facts rather than hearsays of I think, I made, and this. No, they want you they want you to be sure about what you're saying. So when you realize that actually that is their cause of frustration, and for them when you go to their office and they are just telling you, you know what, just get out of my face, and you realize that actually it's because of what you're presenting, then that means that when you're going to them, you're going to work on your facts, you're going to work on your presentation, and you go to them when you're actually very sure of what you're going to be talking about. So instead of you looking at these people and you're like, that person doesn't treat people well, they have this problem, look at them, look at their strengths, and for the weaknesses, look at what is actually their real problem and start relating with them from that point of view. But also the other thing that you need to do is that you have to separate. It's something that I'm learning, and I want to tell you that this is one of my hardest areas in life. Separating people from situations or circumstances, things that are happening. You know, the bad thing is that when this person becomes rude to you, when this person disappoints you in life, you tend to look at the circumstance, or you tend to look at what they've done as though they are that kind of person. So because they maybe disappointed you in life, you think this person is terrible. This person never fulfills what they promise. But that is wrong. Sometimes they might even have a reason as to why they acted like that. But even if they don't have a reason, a valid reason, you need to separate the circumstance, the situation from the person, so that you deal with the issue at hand. And then after that, you actually are happy. You can go out and take some drinks, take some coffee. But when you harbor the feelings and you look at this person and use what has happened or how they've treated you to describe them, then you're going to use those lenses. You're going to look at them from that kind of lens, and it's going to affect your relationship. So I want you to expand the way you react or respond to people's habits, change the methods of your influence, and adopt so many, learn new ways. Don't be fixed on the ineffective methods that encourage you to give people a piece of your mind, or cut people off, or ghost them. Those are ineffective, and at the end of the day, you will not have any meaningful relationships around you. And lastly, these are things that we have no control over. Friends, these are actually many. You will lose someone, or you will even lose property. They will steal your phone in Kampala streets. These are things that you have nothing to do about, but there are also things that have happened to us in the past. And if you do not walk away from them, if you don't learn how to deal with them, then you're going to have a life that is really like you're actually living in the past and not in the future, not in the present. So for things that you have no control over, chronic diseases, loss of a dear, of a friend, of a loved one, of a spouse, loss of a child, these things that we cannot do anything about, I want to encourage you to smile through them and be intentional to live a full life, even if it hurts, even if you don't like them, even if your I would say, even if they don't make you happy, you really don't like them, that they are part of your life, you just have to smile through them and learn how to live with them. And like for a grief, if you've lost someone in your life that you love dearly, grief is going to be a part of your life for the rest of your life until you also join them in heaven, if they are in heaven. Yeah. But you just have to learn to deal with them and ensure that you live life fully, so that you don't go into bad behaviors, destructive behaviors, in a way of trying to cope with them. I want to encourage you that for whatever that you go through, and if we are to even look at Ruth, things were not good. The mother-in-law decides to go back to Israel. There was no promised future for her. She didn't even see a prospect of ever getting married, but she chose to go with her mother-in-law anyway. And when she got in Israel, she did not have to throw a pity party for herself. Oh, I'm a young widow. Oh, I have a depressed mother-in-law. She started working hard. She started going out and ensuring that her and the mother have something to eat. And at the end, we see that God actually remembered her. And do you know that in the Bible, there are only two women, there are only two books that are named after women. That is the book of Ruth and then the book of Esther. We see her that she's an ancestress to our Lord Jesus Christ. So I want to encourage you that you're going to go through difficult things that you have no control over. But even if you don't have control over these things, there is the King of Kings who has control over these things, and we can rest in that, knowing that He is in control and He's going to guide us on the right path, and He's going to help us to go through them. So if we are going to do a recap as we conclude, is that there are many things that you're going to go through. You might bring them on yourself. They might be as a result of your behavior. They might be as a result of other people's behaviors. You might not have control over them. But the best thing is that the first step to that solution is actually in your hands, not on the other person. You have full control of how you're going to react. And when you deal with them in a satisfactory way, you're going to see that your life is not going to be impacted, and you are actually going to thrive. You will take advantage of those things to be a better person, to be a reformed person, and you will know how to deal with them or help another person who is going through them. I want to encourage you, my dear sister, that yes, life is not going to be a straight line. You're going to go through things that are going to hurt you, to disappoint you, to make you cry for a very long time, but do not let them take control of your life. You have the solutions in your hands, and when you implement them and decide to thrive, decide to take the high road over them, then you will realize that you're going to live a fulfilled life regardless of the scars that you have, and you'll be able to help another sister who is going through the same thing. So do not give those things the reason to put you down, but decide to soar above them. Thank you so much for watching me, and if this has been helpful to you, please share it with some other person. Encourage them to subscribe to this channel. We are going to have so many beautiful things that we are going to talk about, so that we can be the kind of ladies that God created us to be. Thank you so much, and God bless you. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.